Hi, I'm Mike Holt with MikeHolt.com, and we're going to be talking about optional standby systems tonight. I know we did it last week, but apparently people had a lot of questions from last week, so I had to make some adjustments, and I spent a lot of time creating the program tonight. Probably going to run a little later than an hour. I'm not going to rush it. But before we get started in there, I want to take a moment to thank God for our blessings, and hopefully you can do the same thing at your end, that we all recognize how special we are in our lives and what we had. It's been pretty cool. All right, Brian, I'm going to get ready to go with this program, and this is going to be a fresh one. We deleted the last week one. We're going to start all over again. Ready, set, Brian? Hi, I'm Mike Holt with MikeHolt.com. We're covering optional standby systems. You know, spent a lot of time preparing for this program, and I realized something. We're covering something that's in Chapter 7 of the National Electrical Code, and Chapter 7 is special conditions. That means that you've already covered Chapters 1 through 4. See, the reason people have a difficult time understanding the code is because sometimes they don't have the experience with the code. Number 2, I need to know that you completed my electrical theory class. I'm making that assumption in everything that I'm saying in this program because I understand you understand electrical theory. And number 3, you've completed my bonding and grounding program. Not just the book, but that includes the videos. And now that I know that you know bonding and grounding and you watch my videos and you really understand it, I know you watch my videos on electrical theory, you understand that. I know that you've completed a course and understand the National Code, Chapters 1 through 4. You're familiar with your code book. I can talk to you. And you're going to understand exactly what I'm saying. If you haven't done that pre-work, getting into Chapter 7 of the code, which is going to be special conditions, it's going to be over your head. How you solve that problem, I'm not quite sure. Probably you need to take a step back and maybe get some fundamentals. All right, ready to go? All right, first thing. Article 702 is optional standby systems. There's the scope, 702.1, and here's what it says. Article 702 covers systems that are permanently installed. Looks like there's a language in there. Covers systems that are permanently installed, including prime movers, and those arranged for the connection to a premises wiring system from a portable alternative power supply. So it's basically a permanent generator like you see here, and also a portable generator. And there's interesting differences between the two as we kind of get along and we move along there. Now, portable generators on construction sites are not within the scope of 702. We're just talking about premises. You're getting a fixed generator. You're going to hardwire it. A portable generator, then you're going to cord and plug connection. Let's get into it. Number 1, we need to size the generator. And that's going to be 702.4 that says that we have to have sufficient capacity. And now it tells us 2 options. 702.4b1 option is a manual transfer switch. The optional standby power source, this is the manual one, must have adequate capacity for all equipment intended to operate at one time as determined by the user. So now, if it's a manual transfer switch, that means a person manually has to go there and make that connection. Well, since you're manually doing it, then you size your generator based upon whatever the customer wants. So the customer decides, I want to be able to have an air conditioner or a stove or all these different loads on. And we're going to talk about how you do that. So when it comes to manual, there's no calculation involved necessarily. You just decide what you want and then size the generator, which I will teach you how to do that. Now, the next option is an automatic transfer equipment. This becomes a little bit more complicated because you have a generator, and if it's going to be automatic, you're going to have a fixed generator, a permanently installed generator, so that when you lose power, the generator has a battery, it has control circuitry in there, it's sensing the power from the utility loses power, it goes through a sequence, and then it goes ahead and turns on and then supplies the load. Well, now there's a little bit of a problem because we need to make sure that generator can supply the load. And here's what the code says. Where automatic transfer equipment is used, an optional standby system shall comply with B to A and B to B, which is right here. So number 1 option, you size the generator shall be capable of supplying the full load that is transferred by the automatic transfer. So the full load, that's number 1. Or B says load management. Where a system is employed that will automatically manage the connected load, the standby source shall have a capacity sufficient to supply the maximum load that would be connected by the load management system. So you could have a generator and you have loads that are so much larger than the generator, and you don't really want to get a bigger generator. Say, listen, I don't have a problem with that. Just cut out those loads. So there's going to be an energy management, there's going to be a load management system. If that's the case, in size of generator based upon the connected load by the load management system. Now, but there's a little subtle point that we missed. It said B2A or B2B, which I just read, in accordance with Article 220. So we'd have to go to Article 220, we have to load calculations, and the easiest way to do that is simply download the app, okay?
All right, guys, got a little audio issue we got there. Just want to welcome everybody. Got a couple of different people having watch parties. If you guys are having watch parties, that is fantastic. We are just happy to have you here. If you guys, anybody's interested that have been with us every single week in possibly getting some CEU credit for some of this, you need to email meg@mikeholt.com and just say, hey, I'd be interested, and we can do that. And looks like we might have Mike back. Do we got Mike back? And yep. Go ahead. Yep, and we got you back, Mike.
Okay. Yep, somehow it switched from an A to B and I had tape on. Okay, so back where I'm talking about. Let's start it all over again. So we covered A and we covered B, but I didn't discuss this one point here. It says that the full load automatic transfer or load management, then just whatever the load management system says is going to be. And it says, but I didn't mention, in accordance with Article 220. Well, Article 220 is a big article, a lot of calculations. And the easiest way to do that would be simply to go to the App Store and download the Mike Holt app for free, Mike Holt Electrical Toolbox. And there's a little button right there. And you can do a server load calculation. You're not going to do that because there's no way you're going to be sizing a generator to Article 220 directly. We'll talk about that in a second. But watch, it also said this, or by another approved method. Now, approved means Article 100 definition, acceptable to the authority having jurisdiction. So if the inspector says, yeah, you can do it that way, that's fine. And we'll talk about that. All right, let's move on. All right. So now, the first thing in 702 4B2, it would have been, says, Article 220 or by another approved means. And by the way, the other approved means was a 2020 change, but I thought that was also in the 2017 NEC. All right, so now let's just talk about how we can put this together. All right, now there is 3 ways you could do it. One is there's an exception, which is 220.87. Remember it said in accordance with Article 220? Guess what? We're going to go to 220.87 paren 1 exception. And here's what the exception says. It says, listen, if you calculate the max demand for 1 year or the average power demand for a 15-minute period over a minimum of 30 days, you can use that to size your generator. This is actually a generator that I use, the data that I use to size my generator. And you can see over the period of time that I had a 12.3 kW load. So one way is to go to the exception and put some kind of recording meters on there. Okay, so let's go there. So number 1, put a recording meter. But then that requires you to get a meter and take it apart and all kinds of work. So that's an option, but not really a functional option. 2, get the information from the electric utility. Hey, listen, can you do me a favor? Can you tell me what the load is for an average 15-minute period? And they will send you your electric bill. And you're like, yeah, I don't need my electric bill. I need the data. And Brian, I had asked you to get a hold of Ocala, and you know a lot of people there. If you can get the demand load, the 15-minute demand load, what was your success?
Well, I actually today finally got something because I actually had to call somebody that I knew. And I haven't even had a chance to review it other than she said, this has your single peak KW value per day. And she sent me a chart I haven't even looked at, but I had to specifically, this would be the sixth or the seventh time I interacted with them to get them to send me something that was not kilowatt hours specifically. So it's impossible. Can't be done.
So you're not going to get a hold of the utility. At least it's going to be very, very, very difficult to get the utility. By the way, when it comes to residential, they don't have a 15-minute demand load, so they can't even get it to you. It would only apply to commercial. Now, maybe somebody watching this video, without just telling me what you think, that maybe you can, I thought you can maybe actually go over to the meter outside, Brian, and I didn't know if it actually somehow stored something on the meter that would tell you the demand. So if anybody's watching this and you got that information, tell us. Okay, we gave up on utility.
They actually do have it on the meter. Matter of fact, I just opened this up. It's got the temperature, the time, how many kW is delivered peak. So they do actually have the data if you can get it from them. That's just from my house. It's not from here at the office. So they, but
and it's hard
impossible.
to find them. It's hard to find the right. Okay, so if you get the utility, oh, Mike, no, I call them all the time. Great, wonderful, you got it. If you can't, okay, well, let's go to number 3. Remember that we talked about or by other approved method? Well, 1, 30 days recording as a pain. Got to get the meter, got to get equipment. 2, get the utility is not going to happen. 3, here's what I recommend for 3. If approved by the authority, have jurisdiction, measure the average current for 15 minutes with all expected loads turned on with the AC set at 60 degrees. Okay, I don't really mean 60 degrees. Mike, my thermostat doesn't go down to 60. Okay, fine. What I'm saying is this. Take your ammeter, make sure the air conditioners are running. So you drop the temperature all the way down so the ACs are running. And then you put an amp meter on there. So we now know, hey, if the air conditioning is running, now here's what you should do. Put on all the loads that you think you would ever want to have. That means run your dryer, run your washing machine, put on your dishwasher, open the refrigerator door, turn on some lights, turn on some TVs, turn on the hot water so you can have the hot water heater kicking in. And then put an amp meter on there and measure that little guy. And if you can record an average for 15 minutes, great. If not, you put it on there, you look at it, okay, it's around 62 amps, 64, 58. You realize, and turn on the stoves also. See, these loads cycle on. The air conditioners are going to turn off and the heat is going to cycle on. And if you have an instant hot water heater, it's not on all the time. And when you turn on the water, you got a variety. Just put an amp meter on there. So, okay, this is what could happen in this house. Well, then let's measure the current. Okay, so now we talked about the utility demand, not going to happen. All right, I did get some information. Mike, I called the utility or I went on the website, you get information. Listen, we're not looking for kWh, kilowatt hour. About the utility, unless you know how to do it. This is an example. Actually, this is an example. My son, he went to a customer's house on like you'd expect it to be on there without the water turned on, and it was 48.4 amps. That's the air conditioners running, that's the lights on, the computers on, the refrigerator cycling on and off, the water heater, not the water heater, all the loads cycling on. 48 amps. That's about right. Pretty much any house. I mean, reasonable house, maybe, I don't know, 5,000 square feet or smaller, somewhere in there. Now, if you start getting more, you might get, like your well comes on and off, it cycles on and off. Your pool pump, make sure your pool pump is going to be on if it's in the daytime. All right, so we get amps. Okay, now your generator that you're going to size, automatic transfer switch, well, all of them have to be, must be capable of supplying the greater of the running current. That's what we just looked at. Just put an amp meter on it. That's what's running. Or the surge load current. That's when you have the loads running and then all of a sudden the air conditioner, the large air conditioner is not running and then the air conditioner kicks in. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So this happens to be a fixed generator, not a portable generator. We'll talk about them later on. And looking at a 22 kW generator, my recommendation is if you're going to get a fixed generator, get a 22 kW generator, period. Even if you do all the calculations and it comes out to be 20 or 16 or some value of that, the difference between, I think, a 15 and a 22 kW generator is like $400. That's contractor costs. So by the time the customer, it's going to be a little bit more than that. But I'm talking about, it's not worth to save $400. So you're going to get a 22 kW generator. That's it. Done deal. But we have to make sure that it can supply the load stuff. We got to check that out. Okay. So now a 22 kW generator has a running current of 92 amps. And the first one has to do with liquid propane, liquid petroleum, LP, which is propane. And then the second number, /81, is natural gas. Brian, can you tell us why is propane have a higher amount of current capacity on a 22 kW generator than natural gas?
Sure. The propane has a higher BTU per cubic foot than the natural gas, and because it has more essentially fuel in the same cubic feet of gas, it can create more horsepower. So it's, like a diesel fuel is a little bit lower energy and gasoline's higher energy. The natural gas is a little lower energy in the same amount of fuel, and the LP is a higher amount of energy in the same fuel. So more power production, so it can produce more electric power with the same generator head.
Okay, so a lot of people, whatever percentage of the country, has natural gas. Well, then your maximum current on a 22 kW generator is going to be 81 amps. But if you're doing propane, 92. Now, the surge current. Remember I was saying, hey, you have the loads running and then all of a sudden the large air conditioner comes on and has this high surge. That value is going to be 210 amps. And I've had people say, hey, Mike, what's this have to do with the lock rotor amps at 30% voltage dip? I don't know. I don't care. This is just simply a mathematical calculation and how they've established a number. And I'm not even going to attempt it, but you say, I got to know that, Mike. Send an email to mike@mikeholt.com and I will get that information to you from somebody who knows, that cares, because I don't care. All I know is 210 amps, maximum surge current. All right, so now, the surge current. That would be the running load, all the loads on, less the large air conditioner. Because see, if I want to know what the surge current is, I can't have the air conditioner running and it start at the same time. So what we do is we take that current, it's without the air conditioner running. So we don't want the air conditioner running. Or you do it with the air conditioner running. When you get the surge current, say, okay, well, it was 48 amps and the air conditioner was 20 amps. Well, then if you're going to get the surge current, it's going to be then the 48 minus the 20 for the air conditioner, which is 24. Then the surge current gets added. Don't worry about it. I got a spreadsheet for you. It automatically does the calculation. But I'm just letting you know, we can't have the running current include the air conditioner and then add the lock rotor amps to it. You'll see in a minute. So now, how do I know what this information is? Where do I get the lock rotor amps? Well, here's an air conditioning nameplate. Here's the voltage, 230, 200, 230. Minimum wire, 34 amperes. I'm not going to get into wire sizing now because that'll just drive you guys crazy. Okay, the compressor is about 26 amps. That's running load amps. And then the lock rotor amps is 141. And then the fan, the little fan on the condenser out there, that's 1.48 full load amps. So this is the information we need to know. We're talking about amps, not voltages. We're talking about amps. All right, so now I know how to get the lock rotor amps and also how to get the running amps. Now, this happens to be a nameplate on my air conditioner at my house. And the air conditioner at my house, this compressor, is 18.3 running load amps. And look at the lock rotor amps. Nada. Zero. Zilch. Because it's DC. In other words, I have a variable speed drive already built into my air conditioner. So I don't have this high surge current that you might have in other units. Okay? So whenever we do these calculations, you got to make sure you look at the nameplate like, oh, there's no lock rotor amps. Well, then all you got to do is whatever the amp meter says, then that is how you size the generator. There's no surge current involved. Okay, let's go a little further. Okay. You should be a little bit confused at this point because we're talking conceptually. Let's start putting things together. Here's a typical Florida home with 5-ton air conditioner. So this is the one my house, the one example my son had brought to me. Okay, they All the loads on, air conditioning running, everything is fine, but not the instant hot on, was 48.4 amps, okay? That was the running current. Then we looked at the nameplate and we found out that the lock rotor amps was 141. So now we have to take the running current, the lock rotor current, and make sure we size the generator to take care of the running current, but it has to have the capacity to manage that surge current of that 141 lock rotor amps. So, have a spreadsheet. I'm going to pop right over to it right now. Here's my spreadsheet, okay? Let me kind of review my spreadsheet for a second. All right. In my spreadsheet, you put in the measured current, and let's go back over here. 48.4. So let me just do that right now, okay? 48.4, okay? And then I need the AC compressor running load amps. Running load amps, 25.9, okay, 25.9. Then I need the condensing fan, 1.4, see right here? The fan, okay. Then I need the nameplate lock rotor, nameplate 141, 141, that's it. Now, if there was a second air conditioner, we would put the running load amps, the fan, full load amps, and the nameplate. Then the spreadsheet would accommodate that. Okay, well then let's take a look at this spreadsheet. Now, I made the spreadsheet give us some colors. Green means you're good. Red means no bueno, okay? So here, I'm assuming this spreadsheet is based upon a 22 kW generator. And the first part of the spreadsheet has to do with propane, right here. And those of you that are dealing with natural gas would be the section right here. Now, it populated the information. So the spreadsheet went ahead and populated that. So in a natural gas, you just look down here and make sure everything, or make sure that it's green. And you could even go a little further, and we even have a portable generator sizes. So we're doing all three in the spreadsheet. All right, so back to where we were. So, sorry about that. Okay, so I populated the information in the spreadsheet. Mike@mikeholt.com. I'll send you the spreadsheet. No worries. The running load, so now, this is the generator, based on a 22 kW generator, air-cooled. Now, this is based on the information of Generac. So you could change your spreadsheet if you had a different size generator to verify whatever you want to do. All right, running load amps is 48.4. And if I look at this generator, running load amps, well, 48 is fine for both propane and as well natural gas. Okay, this should be, I should change this. This is going to be the surge current is right here. It's 162, and I have 210, which means, guess what? I can put, based upon what we inputted, I can just use a regular generator. I don't have to put any load shedding. Remember the load management? And I don't have to put what is called a soft start. We'll talk about that a little later on. So in this case here, actually it calculated out and tells you right here, Brian, that if you want to, you can use 11.6 kW generator. And if you load shed the air conditioner, you could use, well, a 5.1 kW. All right, let's go on now. What about if I had a different house? Actually, the same house with instant hot. So my son measured it, is 103.2. I go over to my spreadsheet. I'm not going to populate it here, just plug in the numbers. 103.2, and the lock rotor current and the running current is given. So, oops, it should be 103.2, sorry about that. The 25.9, the 1.4, the lock rotor amps, 141. Ooh. So the problem is that house with this instant hot information shows that we would need a 24.7 kW generator, and this is a 22 kW generator. So not only does it not have the ability to carry the, let me see if I can, to carry the current, but it doesn't have the surge current either. So the spreadsheet is showing you that we can't. So what are my options? Well, the options is go to what we saw, 702, whatever it was about the load shedding. I think it was 4B or something like that. paren B, somewhere in there. Load shed. Hey, what you do is this. You get a load shedding device, and when the generator starts getting near its capacity, the generator communicates kind of like wireless with this relay, and it just turns off the air conditioner. So therefore, you'll be fine. Now watch this. You're going to load shed the air conditioner. So you're fine at 75 amps for the load shed. Actually, let me see if 75 is 75. Yeah. Okay. And then you're fine for the surge current as well. So you can load shed it and you're going to be fine. And we're fine. Then we're just going to stop there. So you're going to do it. But you say, yeah, but I don't want to load shed my air conditioner. I want my air conditioner to be running all the time. Like, okay, well, if you don't want to do that, then let's see if there's another device. Well, the problem is this. You have 103 amps, and that's what your running current is. And it's 81 amps for natural gas and 92 amps for propane. So you don't have a choice. If this is your load, you have no choice, but you're going to have to load shed out that air conditioner. Well, how do we do that? Well, a little device, right? Brian, you want to explain how this gets connected to the air conditioner, right? So you just kind of explain how you go in and you go out, and then you just make that connection. And then how this communicates.
Sure, you go in and you go out. It communicates wirelessly, and it can run off of either the utility voltage or the generator voltage, and it basically watches the voltage and the frequency of the circuit. And you can set it to either be normally open on generator power, normally closed on generator power. And you can actually use more than one of these, and you can set the priority, whether this is first priority, second priority, or third priority. And in your scenario, you said something about Insta-Hot. Maybe if they don't want to shed the water heater or the air conditioner, you shed the hot. Turn off the Insta-Hot. No hot water then.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. If I want to take a shower, I want the hot water on, right? And I know while I'm taking a shower, if I have to load shed out the air conditioner is just going to cut off for a few minutes while I'm taking my shower. You follow what I'm saying? So the person could say, oh, no, I want my air. Listen, you're taking a shower only for a certain period of time. But no, whatever it is. So you load shed, like Brian said, whatever device the customer wants. All right. So now, this is our office in Ocala. We have two offices, one in Ocala and one in Leesburg, Florida. And Brian measured it, 68.9 amps. That's the current. And Brian, that was with the Instant Hot on, right? Because you have an Instant Hot in the office.
We have an Instant Hot, and I turned on the kitchen sink and one of the bathroom sinks. I figured that was the most water we would run at one time.
And how long is the Instant Hot in an office going to be
Not
on?
long.
Seriously? I mean, we're talking seconds. But hey, listen, let's just do the worst case scenario. And then Brian gave me the nameplate of the compressor. And let's see if we can find okay, here's the running amps, 24.4. Here is the fan, 1.52. And here's the lock rotor amps of 144. Okay, take the spreadsheet, plug in the numbers, and it says, hey, guess what? You can use a 22 kW generator there. Matter of fact, you only need 16.5. You're fine for the running current, which was 69 amperes, and you're fine for the surge current because our table said 9281/210, and we were good there. So I don't have to load shed anything, Brian, and we're not even going to talk about a soft start right now because we don't need to. So we're good there. All right, Brian, this is your house, I believe. And you said that this was a meter. You kind of captured that, 75.4 amps. That's a lot of current on a house. Brian, what the heck was going on at your house when you were checking 75.4? Is this like
hey,
Thanksgiving?
listen, we eat good every night. Mama likes cooking.
So, do you have an Instant Hot in your house?
I do not have an Instant Hot. I have a solar water heater, actually.
Oh, okay. All right, so you had a lot of cooking, ovens on, cooktops on, whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. It's 75 amps. And then, this is not as clear as I'd like it, but the running amps is 24.4. The running, okay, lock rotor amps is 144. The fan is 152. So I just plug in the numbers. And Brian, an 18.1 kW generator is perfectly fine. And you got a 22 kW generator, you're good. Okay? Now, Brian, I don't have a scenario here where the air conditioning starting created a problem on any of these, where I had to get a soft start. I don't see that.
Yeah,
So I'm going to hold off on the
I couldn't
soft start
come.
unless you
I
want to
well,
talk
and
about
I
that now.
and I couldn't come up with one either, to be honest with you. And I shouldn't say I couldn't come up with one. I could invent one, but of what I saw as standard installations on a residential home, you'd have to get over 2 air conditioners for it to really be an issue.
Why don't you know what, Brian? Let's hold off the concept of a soft start. So those of you that might have a scenario where, because of the high inrush current of the air conditioner down in the bottom part, right? All these were all red. If they're red here, any one of these are red here, and then the soft start. What the soft start spreadsheet does, it takes the air conditioning lock rotor amps at 40%. In other words, maybe your problem was when the air conditioner started, it went over the 210 amp surge current. If that's the case, you can shave 60% of that starting current. And that's what the soft start element here is involved. So when you use the spreadsheet, if any of these elements here are red or red, and this is green, that means what? You need a soft start. And if we have time at the end of the video, or Brian, why don't you put the video, if we could, maybe at the end of this video when people watch that again. Let's size portable generators. Okay. I don't want a full house, I want a portable generator. Can you just come out here and give me a receptacle? I can plug my generator in. Like, okay, well, let's see, at least we can help the person size it. So now here's a portable generator with a cord and plug connection. And basically, you're either going to have a 30 amp receptacle or you're going to have a 50 amp receptacle. If it's a 30 amp receptacle, you're probably talking somewhere around 6,500 watt of running power, and for 30 amps. And if you're at 50 amps, I think, well, let's get a calculator here. I don't have my calculator, can it? It's not how okay, 30 times 240, that would be the 30, that's how you size that generator. Or it would be 50 times 240. So it's one of those two size generators, okay? Now, the only question is, well, do I need a 30? Do I need a 50? Well, let's do a calculation. So here is, for surge current, here is an air conditioner, has a lock running amps of 109, and the compressor is 16.7. And I'm so surprised about the fan. The outdoor fan motor is 3.5 amps. That's like, wow. But that's what it is, okay? And so let's assume that the person wants to size a portable generator. Say, okay, well, that's what you want? That's great. Do me a favor. Go in your house, turn everything on that you would like to have on your portable generator. And I said, okay. So they turn on the stove and then water heater, refrigerator, they turn everything else on, and they come up with the amperage. So once you know the amperage, it's volt amperes, 240 volts times the amps, that would be the size generator. So this was Mario Valdez. He was in Miami. He's one of our team members. He went to his house, and in his house, he went ahead and turned on all the loads that he thinks he would be on during Thanksgiving. Not doing a dryer at Thanksgiving. He's not doing a washing machine at Thanksgiving. So some loads would be on, some loads would not be on. So now we know a 6.7 kW generator is what you would need to have for that. So now the exact same spreadsheet I showed you, just plug in the numbers, and here's what it said. It said, well, you need 6.7 kW, so a 7.5 kW generator would be good to take care of the running load. But here's the problem, the starting load. The starting load was 116 amps. Now, the starting load of a portable generator is 25% above the running power. So you'll see a generator that's rated, I'll pick a number, 6 kW running with a I don't know, a starting or a surge load of whatever, 6 times 1.25. 25%, whatever it is, 7.5 kW surge. So when you size generator, you don't size it based on the surge, you size generator based upon the running. So let's say you put a 7.5 kW generator here. Let's just say, because that's what it is. Well, 7.5, the maximum surge is going to be 125% of the 7.5, and you divide that by 240, you're going to find out, of course this here, you need a 28 kW generator to take care of the surge. I checked these numbers multiple times. I still don't think it's right. I'll have to double check that. The surge would have been 28 amps was a running load. Plus is at 40%. No, I think that number. Oh, no, that's a load shedding. I'm sorry. That's right. All I'm doing here is load shedding the air conditioner. And if the air conditioner starts, it's going to start at lock rotor current plus the other current. You can't start it. Well, wait a minute now. What about if I put a soft start? Soft start means that the air conditioner will run at 40% of the lock rotor current. So 109 at 40% is something like around 42 amps. Okay? Plus the running current load. Well, that's still 42 plus 40% of the air conditioner is going to be more than 25% of the capacity of a 7.5. Here's the bottom line. Real simple. If they want a portable generator, you need to let them know. It probably will not start your air conditioner. It might, but it probably will not. So what are the factors that it would or would not? Well, remember my air conditioner, the lock rotor amps was 0 because it's the same thing as the running current. That's because it's a variable speed air conditioner. And apparently high efficiency air conditioners have a much lower inrush current. And it's possible that if you size this generator to 7.5, it's possible it might start the air conditioner. But if you're an electrical contractor and you're dealing with a customer, you let them know. You get a portable generator, you're not starting your air conditioners. It's just not going to happen. They're not capable of doing that. If they have, but my buddy has a generator and it starts his air conditioner. Well, you're not an expert in air conditioners, and we don't know about his buddy's air conditioner. We don't know anything about that. Just, you got to tell him, listen, if it starts your air conditioner, you're blessed. But it's not going to start your air conditioner. So there you go. That's how you size a portable generator. Put on the loads, measure, stick it in here, and that will take care of the running current. But basically, you subtract the air conditioning out of that running current. So really, you need to measure your running current without the air conditioner on. Matter of fact, you're going to have to establish when you use the spreadsheet whether when you measure I think the best thing I would recommend, and I'm going to change my spreadsheet to accommodate this, that is that the measured current is not to include your air conditioning, the largest air conditioner. So it's going to be off. You're going to measure the current. That way the spreadsheet will say, okay, well now we know what the running current is without the air conditioner. And then we're going to go ahead and size the calculator will size that, will add the air conditioner for running load, okay, beside what you measure, but then it's going to add the surge current. So my spreadsheet is going to be assuming this. Air all the loads on the way you want it to be on, but the largest air conditioner is not on. That way the spreadsheet can accommodate that. And if you know spreadsheets, you can kind of move it around the way you want to. All right, so we talked about sizing fixed generators, portable generators. A 22 kW generator is what you need fixed. Portable generators, you do the calculation, you put a portable generator, it's not going to start your air conditioner. Now, how do we protect the utility from backfeeding? Well, take a look at this generator here. Let's assume we had a generator, and somehow we directly connect the generator to the electrical system. I've heard guys go to the air conditioner disconnect, they get a portable generator, they go ahead and they run the wires and they kind of backfeed the disconnect of the air conditioner. They plug it in on a range. They plug it in on a dryer. They do some kind of mechanism where they connect the generator to the premises wiring. Look what happens. When the generator is running, electrons leave the generator, travel in the black phase. They go all the way back over to the utility, secondary neutral, coming back on the neutral, coming back on the neutral, going back over to the generator. Guess what's happening? So utility has lost power, but because our generator is on, it is now backfeeding the utility, and over here is going to be 7,200 volts. So linemen have been killed because people are connecting generators to premises wiring without having it done by a qualified electrical professional. So that's a problem. So 702.5a tells us that we have to have a transfer switch. Remember we talked about transfer switches, manual and automatic? We really didn't explain what that really means. Transfer switch means that you have AC power coming in and then you have generator power coming in. You have two different choices, okay? So we want to make sure that if we are on the utility, then the premises are being supplied by the utility, or if the utility loses power, we can either manually switch it over to the generator or have it automatic. So it's going to be a switching mechanism, which I'll show you in a second. This one happens to be an automatic transfer switch. Now, so we talked about that would prevent the backfeeding. But before I go any further, let's talk a little bonding and grounding. I'm assuming you know all about bonding and grounding, and so we got to go that way. Okay. The way electrical systems are designed, the utility provides power, and it goes over to the meter can, and then it goes over to, let's say, the service disconnect, goes over to a panel, goes over to an outlet, let's say a disconnect, whatever the case may be, and then it goes over to a load. Then the electrons would travel back over the utility. If there's a ground fault, electrons leave the utility, they go to a ground fault. Ground fault current does not go to the ground, it's going back to the source, and it travels on the effective ground fault current path, and it gets back to the source. And the earth connections have nothing to do with clearing a fault, and it clears a fault. Okay? That's how an electrical system operates. It's important to understand that the neutral, see, go back over here. You see this neutral conductor coming here? See, electrons leave the utility, but they have to get back to the utility under a fault condition, and they use the neutral to get back. So we have only phase conductors and a neutral coming to the premises. Now, what 250-24A5 says is this. We need to be able to have an effective ground fault current path for that ground fault current to get back to the source, and we have to use that neutral. So we have to do that. And the way we do that is because 250-24C tells us we have to bring a neutral to the service, and we have to bond it to the service disconnect with a main bonding jumper. And 250-24A5 says, yes, you make that main bonding jumper connection either at the service equipment, okay? But you do not have your neutral conductor make a connection to the enclosures or the equipment grounding conductor after the service disconnect. And the only reason we do it at all at the service is because we have no other path for the fault current to get back to the source except the neutral. So we have to take the neutral and bond it to the service disconnect enclosure. Now, sometimes electricians, not realizing it, they'll say, Mike, do I have to bond the neutral to a sub panel? And it's like, don't even ask that question. Think about electricity. That's why I say we cover this in the electrical theory program. We cover this in bonding and grounding. When you make a neutral bond connection on the load side of the service disconnect, the neutral current is going to inherently do what? Have two paths return back. So it's going to travel both on the neutral conductor, and it's going to travel back on the equipment grounding conductor, or that effective ground fault current path, or that equipment grounding conductor, back. You are not supposed to have any current traveling on any equipment grounding and bonding conductors. And that's a violation of 250.6. So just giving you a concept, neutral bond connection is made where? One spot, at the service disconnect, not downstream. Now, let's talk about generators and grounding and bonding. Let's talk about a fixed generator. You probably don't know this, or some of you do. The neutral, on most fixed generators, the neutral is not bonded. So you can call that a floating neutral, or you can call it an unbonded neutral. So pretty much generators do not have the neutral bonded. Now we're talking about 20, let me make it simple. I'm going to talk about a 22 kW generator, a Generac generator. I don't know how Kohler does what they're doing inside there, and maybe they have a neutral bond connection, I don't know. So the normal condition is that the neutral is not bonded to the enclosure, okay? And here's our transfer switch. We want to make sure that we don't have the generated power ever going back to the utility, and that's where the transfer switch comes in place. Now, I'm not going to get into grounding and bonding, and then that neutral from the generator terminates in the neutral of this panel, and guess what? We have no problems. So, if you have a generator, fixed generator, let's say 22 kW generator, and it's sized properly, you're going to have a surface rated transfer switch. I'm going to stop there. You should know that because you covered bonding and grounding. How about portable generators? Well, see, portable generators have the neutral bonded to the frame. Well, and they're even marked in here. It'll even tell you right here. So since a portable generator has a neutral bonded to the frame, and it says neutral bonded to the frame, since the neutral is bonded to the frame here, and the neutral is bonded to the frame at the service disconnect, remember we talked about on this rule back here? That a neutral bond connection could be only at the service and not downstream? Well, when you get a portable generator, the neutral is bonded to the frame on a portable generator. So now we have a problem. Let's watch the current. Current leaves the generator. It gets to the premises. Ooh, wow. This is going to go all the way, no transfer switch. This is going to go back over here. It's going to energize the primary winding, which is going to, the secondary winding, which is going to backfeed the utility. So we're going to kill linemen or linewomen. And then you have the neutral current coming back over here. And watch the neutral current. The neutral current can go down on the bonding jumper and get to its location. And the neutral current can also return back on the neutral conductor. And the neutral current can kind of travel along here. And it's, listen, do you see current shown on that equipment grounding conductor? That's a violation of 250.6. We have a violation of the transfer switch. So you can see there's a problem here. So what we need to do is we need to put a transfer switch on a portable generator. Because if you have a fixed generator, it's going to have an automatic transfer switch. You're not going to go with a fixed generator with a manual transfer switch. You're going to go with a manual transfer switch. Now let's take a look at this. If you put a manual transfer switch, manual transfer switches are only switching the phase conductors. They're not switching the neutral. So since portable generators are required to be listed, 702 dot probably, I don't know if it's 6 or not, probably not, 702 something, that's a 2020 change, and listed generators that are portable have the neutral bonded to the frame, that's required, then guess what you can't do? If you guys are installing these manual transfer switches and panels, it was always wrong. You could never do it. Unless the generator didn't have a neutral bond connection. And guess what? Unlisted generators don't have neutral bond connections. It was only until the 2020 code requires that the generators be listed, and the standard for listing requires that the neutral be bonded to the case. So starting in 2020, you cannot use anymore these manual transfer switches. You're like, what the heck am I going to do? I thought I would just put a manual transfer switch, put a flange inlet outlet outside, and get the generator plugged in and stick it inside there and backfeed it. Yeah, well, if you did that, look what's going to happen. You have a neutral bond connection made at the generator, a neutral bond connection made at the service, and you cannot have a neutral bond connection anywhere on the load side because follow current. It leaves this, it goes to the light, goes to the neutral, returns to the neutral this way. Well, then it travels on that neutral connection here, travels to service equipment. Guess what? Objectionable current, 250.6. So you're not using those anymore because you're buying generators or you're installing generators that are listed and they have a bond connection at that location. So the other solution is, well, Mike, I'll get a transfer switch that switches to neutral. Well, if you do that, well, now this neutral to bond connection right here is isolated because you switch to neutral in the transfer switch. It's a portable generator. How are you going to put a transfer switch in a house with a portable generator? You were doing that. Now you're going to put a transfer switch that switches to neutral for somebody to have a portable generator? I don't know how you do that. You take the service down? Now you have a whole service change? It's a lot of work for a portable generator. It's not looking good for portable generators. So, yes, you can switch to neutral for a portable generator where it has a neutral bond connection required to be done because of the listing standard. Now, but here's the solution. 15 kW generators and larger, unbonded neutrals. So don't get a 5 kW, don't get a 7.5, don't get a 12. Get a 15 kW generator, which will give you, I don't know what 15,000 divided by 240 is, but it's a lot more than 50 amps. So you're going to have plenty capacity. And I actually know somebody who did that, and there's a 50 amp receptacle and a 30 amp receptacle on a 15 kW generator. He put two flange inlets that fed two breakers But the generator is almost $3,000. Are you kidding me? I'm going to buy a $3,000 portable generator and have to be putting gas in there? By the time I get to that thing, just because, see, those generators are unbonded. So 15 kW portable generators and 17.5 are unbonded. Well, then you're fine. So if you want to do that, you need to have an unbonded generator. You can say, hey, Mike, I'm just putting in a transfer switch because I don't want to kill the utility guy. I'm putting in a flange outlet for the customer. What they plug into it, I'm not involved in that because I'm not supplying the generator. So I understand that. So Brian, you say you have a comment?
Yeah, so there is actually a very practical application for this. In a lot of subdivisions where you have zero lot lines and the municipality has restrictions on where you can place the propane tank or the generator, you cannot install a permanently installed generator. And so in many scenarios, we would actually purchase the Generac 15 kW portables and supply those to our customers. And I wasn't going to bring that up while you were running through the spreadsheet because I didn't want to add confusion to what you were talking about. But there are definitely portable generators that can put out the power. And honestly, that $3,000 generator is the only option those people have.
And you know what? Sound, right? And there's some sound ordinances. So during an emergency, you lose power. Yeah, you're right. I mean, so there is an application. Get a 15 kW generator. It's an unbonded generator, okay? And you put that on there, and you use a manual transfer switch. And here is an unbonded generator with a manual transfer switch, and the neutral is not switched because you use that. Okay, so if you have no choice, you can't have a fixed generator, then you can get a 15 kW. Okay, there's an application. Okay, there's an application. Great example. Now here's another option. Okay, Brian, another comment?
And you may want to actually address this afterwards. I've got a couple of guys asking what to do if you have two service disconnects, and I didn't want to get too far down the road. So maybe.
Oh, I'm not gonna get into that. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into multiple service disconnects. I'm covering the fundamentals, and you guys can look at the electrons and understand how the electrons go. Make sure you understand how bonding and grounding goes in that. Make sure you understand the code. And that becomes, listen, generators, there's an unlimited number of combinations. I'm just trying to cover the fundamentals the best I can. So I can't get into that one at all, and I won't. All right, another option is maybe you have 8 or 16 circuits. You can use a home link, all manufacturers make this, which is a manual transfer switch. So you put in the box outside for them to plug in the generator. Then from this box, the electrician runs a wire over to this home link. You attach this right next to the panel, and you take the 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever number of circuits this can provide here. You take the circuits out of that panel, you place it in here, and this has a switched neutral transfer switch. So now you can take a portable generator. Now they make a 30 amp one. So 30 amp is listed $369, and 50 amp is $543, and there's other combinations, what have you. So now you can say, okay, well, you know what? I don't want the whole house. I want the whole house, okay? My wife wants the whole house, and she wants all instant hots working too at the same time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you can go with this combination. Remember, there's no guarantee that the AC will start on a portable generator. And Brian, you're saying, hey, well, that 15 to 17 kW generator, it might, but we don't know every air conditioner, every combination, the lock rotor current. So, but if you're saying, Brian, Mike, the property lines don't permit us the gas, fuel, it's not there. I want to be able to get power to my house when we lose power. Totally get that. Okay, let's talk about some other important NEC rules. By the way, guys, this is fast. This is quick. You need to watch this video many, many, many times to understand the nuances, and then you're going to have a lot of questions, and I apologize that I can't individually answer all those questions. Like the gentleman said, what about if you have two service disconnected means, and I got circuits on that panel over there, and I got circuits on this panel over here, and I want to have the whole house inside here. Do I put two transfer switches? Do I, there's a lot of combinations of ways. Okay. Portable generators. When you do a portable generator, when it talks about grounding, The portable generator is not required to be grounded if it only supplies equipment and or receptacles mounted on the generator. So, Brian, you say, hey, we're going to get a portable generator. Okay, well, we're not going to worry about the air conditioner. Okay, well, then maybe we could put a 7,500 watt portable generator. Oh, no, because then I have to switch to neutral. Okay, we can't do that one. I have to put the home light. If I have a bonded neutral generator, then I'm going to have the home link. You're saying, well, Mike, we can go ahead with the larger one because it's unbonded. Okay, got that one. Then, if you have a portable generator, however the combination supplying that home link, Generac, or other manufacturers, or if it's a 15 kW and it's not bonded, that's fine. You don't have to ground it. Okay, I'm not going to get into grounding and bonding. Just no ground rod driving out there. Please, guys, don't drive ground rods. How do you size the conductor? Well, all you got to do is take a look at the nameplate and go to that. Not the nameplate, I'm sorry. Just take a look at the breaker. 100 amp breaker, go to table 310.16 in the 2020 code, and that would be a 3-gauge wire. So whatever the size breaker in the panel, you would just size the wire like you would size a breaker in the panel. But, Mike, I have a 22 kW generator with a 100 amp main breaker. Exactly, okay. Can I size a feeder conductors from the generator to the transfer switch in accordance with table 310.12? Guys, for dwelling units, there's a table 310.12 that says this is how you size feeder conductors as well as service conductors. It's a 100 amp breaker on the generator. Yes. Are you running a feeder from the generator to the single family dwelling? Yes. Are you supplying all the loads on that dwelling unit from that generator? Yep. Well then, Mike, if you read 310.12, looks to me like that table applies, and then you would not be placing a 3-gauge wire on that. Now, I've said this before, maybe people have heard me say this, I think this table should be deleted because I don't believe a 4-gauge wire, just so you know, at 100 amps on 110.14C1A2, well, C1, let's say C1A, stop it right there. You have to size the wire to the 60 C terminal unless marked otherwise. So theoretically, it could be a 70 amp wire at 60 C. It's probably 75 C, so it's 85 amp wire. But you got an 85 amp wire now on a 100 amp breaker, and your load could be 92 amps. So technically, if I was an inspector, I'd turn you down because I know I don't want a 70 amp or an 85 amp wire on a 100 amp breaker on a generator because that generator could supply 92 amps. So I will, Brian, make a note for me to make a public input. Another reason why to delete this table because it creates a problem. Another couple of little points and we're almost done here. And I think probably a lot of people don't do this. You need to put a sign. Oops, sorry about that. You need to place a sign at the service disconnect. Now the 2020 code is going to require an emergency disconnect. Okay? So we have to, if it's a dwelling unit, 1 or 2 family dwellings, we have to title this as an emergency disconnect. I think that's 230.85. Then we have to title it as a service disconnect. I think it's 230, like, let's see, around 72, somewhere 70. Then we have to have on the same label or label, optional standby disconnect located 6 feet west of this disconnect. We have to be going to the service disconnect or the emergency disconnect. There needs to be a label telling you where the disconnect is for the optional standby system. Because if you go to this transfer switch, which is service rated in this case here, and you turn off that breaker, your generator is going to kick on and it's going to then supply power to this panel. So you turn off the main breaker here thinking you're safe, but in reality, this panel is going to be energized when you turn off the service disconnect because you are now transferring over to generator power. So that's why we have to have that label there. Now, 1 or 2 final points that if you have a portable generator, you need to have a flange inlet. It's going to look like this here. And you need to have a warning label. And Brian, you say, well, Mike, you know, sometimes we got to buy that $3,000 portable generator because there is no other option and they want power. You know what, Brian? I'd be buying myself a $3,000 portable generator, getting gas, and do whatever I got to do to get power to my house if that's the only thing I could do. If that's the case, then, Brian, that generator is an unbonded generator, and that means that we would have to, on the flange inlet, put a warning label. And here's what the code says. Warning, and it tells us what it is, but let me just show you the picture. Warning, for connection of a non-separately derived floating neutral system only, or for the connection of a separately derived. So if it was a 15 or larger kW generator, well, then it's going to be this label. If it's going to be other generators that are listed, they're not going to be bonded, and it's going to be this location. So you can see here, we have like a bonded neutral generator supplying this small panel, and I have circuits out of this panel coming in here, and this has a switched neutral configuration. And how do you know if it's a bonded neutral generator or not? Well, it's going to be neutral bonded to frame or neutral. I didn't see the 17 or the 15 a label saying it was or was not bonded, so I don't know what that says. So I'm assuming if it doesn't say it, that it means it's unbonded. So this is an option for portable generators without having to go to a 15 or a 20 kW generator. Rather a 15 or larger, 17.5. Here's that label. Here's the code rule that talks about the label that we have to put on the flange inlet. And that's the end. So, Brian, and I apologize, guys, because I know a lot of you don't have the theory, don't have the bonding and grounding, don't have the code background, and you're good guys and good ladies, and you just got to get some more education. That way you can do a better job. And not only that, but even if you understand all of that, you got to really think this out and take your time and watch it over and over and over again. And Brian, we have some scenarios. Okay, we need a generator power there. We can't get it fixed. It's going to have to be portable. Okay, well then we have two choices. It's either going to be bonded or unbonded. If it's going to be bonded, you're going to go with a panel that's going to have a switch neutral. If it's going to be unbonded, then you're just going to have a transfer switch that's going to go to it. Okay,
yep,
Brian?
Absolutely.
With the manual transfer switch that we saw.
All right, Mike, before we go, we've got one more question from Daryl Hinson, and he says, hey, you mentioned that portable generators in 702 are required to be listed. He can't find that. If you know right off, where is that requirement for listing for portable generators?
Okay, 702 is optional standby systems, not generators. The requirements for generators is contained in Article 445, and 445.6, the title says listing, and that was a 2020 change.
Okay, well, if Brian will go to my screen here, that's nice, except 445.6 listing is for stationary generators 600 volts and less. Sure, I don't see portable in here. So
I don't know what a stationary generator is.
I don't know either.
But I clearly, I don't think a stationary generator is a portable generator.
I'm thinking
so
not.
That change I missed, but I misread that to apply to a portable generator. So there is no actual requirement then in the 2020 code having to do with listing requirements for portable generators. Yep. There is a requirement for stationary generators. Everything I said still applies. That is that manufacturers, you can see if it's a bonded or unbonded system. And so I guess portable generators are not actually listed. All right, well, there you go. I correct that one. I apologize for saying that statement that had to be listed when in reality, only stationary generators have to be listed. And I'm not sure if portable generators are actually governed by the stationary standard, so I don't know. So I'm going to say no requirement for listing of portable generators right now. Thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate that. All right, guys, God bless. Watch that video a few times so you can kind of get it all together. Thanks.